I took a deep breath, clutching the divorce decree paper in my trembling hand. I could feel the tears struggling to be released from my eyes, and I struggled to hold them back. My husband Tom and I sat in our spacious kitchen, an air of tension hovering between us. We had met years ago, full of enthusiasm and hope. I was his support, his backbone. But damn it, I couldn't give him children. No doubt I loved him, but our marriage was always overshadowed by the shadow of unfulfilled maternal dreams. In the beginning, he was patient, supportive, and assured me that children were not all that mattered in our lives. As time passed, however, his patience and support gradually faded. We fought more and more often, and every time the topic of children came up, my wound was exacerbated. He could not understand my pain, his powerlessness. To him, it was just a biological injustice. But to me, it was a heartbreak. Eventually, Tom left me. He couldn't accept my infertility and brutally left me with it. I am Emma Wilson, a librarian by profession and vocation. I have always had a special affinity for books and knowledge. I currently work in the city library, and in the most unexpected moment, when I least expected it, I met Nathan, a young, energetic, and funny man who brought a new perspective on happiness to my life. We met when he first came to our library, and he came so often afterward that we just couldn't help getting to know each other better. He taught me to enjoy every little moment and to appreciate our happy moments together. We supported each other in our aspirations and dreams, and I felt that in him I found not only a loving partner, but also a best friend. He is a courageous and brave sailor, ready to fight the waves and explore uncharted horizons. Nathan has imbibed the spirit of freedom and adventure that is inherent in sailors, and his work on the ship allows him to see different countries and cultures. When we first met, I felt his strength and energy draw me to him. Nathan was such a passionate traveler, and our shared interests became the basis for our closeness. We spent a lot of time exchanging stories about our adventures, and every time he talked about his voyages on the oceans, I could feel his inner freedom and passion for the sea. True, I traveled most often in books, but he was able to really show me the world in all its colors. We often traveled to different countries and explored different cultures. His job as a sailor was a challenge, but he always made time for us. We spent valuable moments together when he was ashore, and every encounter we had was filled with emotion and adventure. When Nathan went sailing, I felt his absence, but I knew his soul belonged to the sea and his work. I was always proud of his dedication to his profession. My heart sank when Nathan, my courageous sailor, proposed marriage to me. As the wedding day grew closer, I began to feel mixed feelings. Although I was filled with love for Nathan and believed in our destiny together, doubts and fear were growing inside me. One important secret that I hadn't told anyone was still weighing on me: my infertility. I feared that someday this discovery would ruin my bond with Nathan. I feared he would be disappointed and hurt that I hadn't told him sooner. We both dreamed of having a family and children, and I feared my limitations would be a barrier to our happiness. We were married on that beautiful day, surrounded by loved ones who shared our joy. I wore my wedding dress, excited and happy, but fear still lived in my heart. I decided not to tell Nathan about my infertility for fear of ruining our happiness. During our first wedding anniversary, I continued to hide the truth. I tried to forget about my infertility and focused on what we had: our love and our happy marriage. We made plans for the future, dreamed of adventures together, and supported each other in our aspirations. But with each passing day, the mystery gnawed more and more at me from within. I felt guilt and fear, afraid that Nathan would feel betrayed by my silence. I knew I had to tell the truth, but every time I tried, the words got stuck in my throat. After a while of our happy marriage, Nathan began to express a desire to have children. I could see the genuine joy and anticipation in his eyes, and it made my heart flutter with mixed feelings. I knew it was time to tell him the truth about my infertility, but fear gripped me again. I was trapped in my own mystery. Not knowing how to open up and tell Nathan, I gathered all my doubts and fears together, deciding to sort it out inside myself before I told him. However, when Nathan brought it up again and hoped for my positive reaction, I couldn't tell the truth. I fell into silence, not knowing what to say. My words faded in front of him, and his joyful expression was replaced by embarrassment and disappointment. It was the moment when our strong love story ran into an insurmountable obstacle. We began to argue, our voices filling the room with negative emotions and resentment. I could see Nathan trying to figure out what was wrong, but I couldn't find the strength to tell him the truth. My emotions boiled over, and despair enveloped me as I reflected on my infertility. Pain and sadness overwhelmed me every day, and I feared that one day Nathan would learn the truth. He would also leave me. As had happened in my previous marriage, the thought kept me going, and my fears grew with each passing day. I was experiencing an internal struggle between wanting to protect my marriage and wanting to be honest with my husband. The accidental news of a colleague's pregnancy at work pierced me like an arrow. Mixed feelings overtook me again when I realized that one of us had the opportunity to become parents, and that opportunity was taken away from me. I found out that a young girl I was working with had decided to keep her baby after giving birth. She was only 18 years old, and her boyfriend disappeared after finding out about her pregnancy. Her parents wouldn't support her, her salary wouldn't allow her to raise the baby, and she didn't even have a place of her own. So she cried one day and told me that she would probably keep the baby after she gave birth. Her story reminded me of my own painful decisions I had faced. A heavy thought began in my heart that I could have been a mom if fate had positioned me differently. Heavy feelings of guilt began to overwhelm me. I felt selfish because now that there was an opportunity to take care of a child, I could not accept the chance. At the same time, I was aware that I had made the right decision based on my own circumstances and limitations. When I found out about the pregnancy of a young girl at work, my feelings for her were mixed with the feelings I had about my infertility. I realized that I could offer her an opportunity that would make her and her child happy, and at the same time help me fulfill my desire to become a mother. One day after work, I took her out to dinner at a cozy restaurant to talk privately. We sat across from each other. I could feel my hands shaking with excitement, knowing that this topic was tender and personal. I tried to find the right words to express my thoughts. "Sasha, I want to say that you will do a wonderful job as a mother. I have seen how caring you are to your loved ones and what a wonderful person you are. And the thought occurred to me, if you're comfortable and if you're ready, I'd like to offer you something out of the ordinary." Sasha stared at me with her astonished eyes, waiting for me to continue. I felt that this was an important moment and that my words could change the lives of both of us. I can't have children, but I've always wanted to be a mother. When I found out you were pregnant, I had a thought. If you are willing, I would like to suggest that you consider having me take care of the baby after the birth so that he can grow up in a loving and caring environment. I would offer to be his foster mother, if you would consider it seriously. You know me. I'm a good person. Your child will be happy with me. Sasha was silent as she looked at me, her eyes filled with tears. I knew it was a difficult decision and that she had to weigh all the factors, but I hoped that my proposal would give her a new perspective and an opportunity for a happy future life for her and her child.
"Emma, I don't know what to say," she muttered, her voice trembling with emotion. "This is so unexpected and so wonderful at the same time. I feel like this could be the best thing for my baby and for both of us. I accept your offer."
We hugged each other, our tears merging together. Tears of joy and hope for a new beginning. I knew that this was only the beginning of our journey and that we could go through it together, supporting each other and loving the baby that would be born. I decided not to tell Nathan about Sasha. I decided that I would pretend to be pregnant, and all my plans were calculated. After all, Nathan told me about his upcoming trip to the sea. I had plenty of time to hide my fake pregnancy while he was on a business trip. Nathan was just leaving for 6 months, and he couldn't find out that I wasn't pregnant. As time went on, I decided to continue this illusion to keep the peace and joy in our new family. After Sasha agreed to become a foster mother, I began to carefully study everything about pregnancy and the outward signs of this condition. I studied information, watched videos, read books, and talked to medical professionals. I was determined in my desire to create a real illusion. I left the 2 striped pregnancy tests in the tub, which was actually for ovulation. It's just that men aren't usually knowledgeable about such things. And Nathan immediately knew what was what. He was so happy when he found out I was supposedly pregnant. He even decided that he wouldn't go on a business trip to be by my side during the pregnancy. But I flatly forbade that and told him that we needed money for the unborn child and that I was fine on my own. I started to change my lifestyle. Instead of exercising, I pretended to be tired of exercising and switched to more relaxed activities like yoga and swimming. I began to monitor my diet and offered explanations about the need to eat healthy foods for child development. I also chose my clothing carefully to accentuate my pregnancy. I wore loose dresses, padded blouses, and flared tops. When we went out with friends and coworkers, I pretended to have difficulty sitting or standing up to emphasize my growing belly. I also started eating more to make my tummy really show. We got together in our living room, standing in front of open suitcases filled with his stuff.
"Emma, I'm still not sure I need to leave now, especially given your condition. I don't want to leave you at such an important time."
I walked over to him and squeezed his hand. "Nathan, I understand your fears and concern, but we need this money for our baby's future. I can't afford to turn down this opportunity. I'll be sending you pictures on social media." He looked at me with mixed feelings, and I noticed that his eyes reflected anxiety and bewilderment.
"But, Emma, we could have found another solution. I don't want to leave you alone at such an important moment."
I took his face in my hands and kissed him lightly on the lips. "Nathan, I am a strong and independent woman. I promise you that I will find support and help during this time. We will overcome all difficulties together, but now you need to fulfill your duties and earn a future for us." He sighed. accepting my words.
I trust you, Emma, but please promise me you'll be careful and call for help if anything goes wrong.
I promise, Nathan. We'll get through this, and I'll do everything I can to make sure our family has a good future. I said goodbye to Nathan and exhaled a sigh of relief. He could have ruined all my plans, and then I wouldn't have been able to build the illusion of being pregnant for the whole 9 months. As I met Sasha in a cozy cafe, I watched her anxiously. She was carrying the wonderful blessing of an unborn child. My resolve was clear. I was ready to accept this baby and take care of it. However, there was a danger in my mind that Sasha might try to interfere in the baby's life, potentially causing complications and problems. I decided to express my feelings openly and honestly. I explained to Sasha that I wanted her to give the baby to me after she was born, but that I did not want her to be involved in his future life. I said that it would be better for the baby and for our family as a whole. Sasha listened to me with quiet tears in her eyes. I could see her face express mixed feelings, understanding, disappointment, and maybe even sadness, but I couldn't allow myself to change my mind. I knew it was the right thing for all of us. When our conversation came to an end, Sasha nodded slowly. Acknowledging my words, I could see her struggling with emotion, but deep in her eyes, I caught understanding and respect for my requests. We hugged each other goodbye, wishing each other happiness and well-being. There was a mixed feeling of relief and sadness in my heart. I knew that this determination was not an easy one, but I believed that it would bring peace and stability to my unborn child's life. During Sasha's pregnancy, I decided to take charge and help her with whatever was needed. We became closer to each other, and I constantly monitored her well-being and health. We went to doctor's appointments and consultations together. I was actively involved in planning her daily regimen, helping with dietary planning to make sure she was getting all the nutrients she needed for her baby's health. Every week, we went together for an ultrasound scan to monitor the growth and development of the baby. I always tried to support Sasha, build her confidence, and reassure her that she was doing everything possible for her baby's health. Together, we did wonderful shopping for the baby. To be, diapers, clothes, a bassinet, and everything else we needed for his arrival. I tried to create an atmosphere of support and joy around Sasha to make her feel loved and important. During Sasha's pregnancy, I was by her side every step of the way. Being her support and helper was my way of showing her that I was ready to accept this baby and take care of it as my own. I was also constantly calling Nathan and telling him how the baby was kicking and how I went to the doctor, because I did go to the doctor with Sasha, and I had a lot to tell him. The long-awaited moment came when Sasha and I found out the sex of the future baby. Sitting in anticipation of the doctor, we squeezed each other's hands, experiencing excitement and joy at the same time. We were so anxious to find out who would fill our lives with happiness and joy. Finally, the doctor entered the room and the ultrasound screen showed an image of our baby boy. My heart pounded faster when the doctor said, "You're having a girl." I couldn't hold back the joyful tears, and Sasha just cried tears of grief, but I soon calmed her down quickly, and she didn't worry so much about it anymore. Now, knowing that we were going to have a little princess, I imagined our future moments with her, her first steps, her first word, playing together, holidays, and more. My soul overflowed with tenderness and love for this little creature that was still maturing inside me. I was grateful to Sasha for agreeing to give us this gift of life. It was a true gift of fate that I intended to keep and cherish with all my heart. My little daughter became a source of hope and happiness for our family, and I was ready to give her all my love and care to make her life happy and full of joy. When the long-awaited moment of childbirth came, I didn't leave Sasha's side for a second. I stood by her side, holding her hand and supporting her during each contraction. I was full of anxiety and worry, but I tried to hide my emotions so I could be there to support her. When I heard our baby's first cry, our happiness was endless. The doctors quickly and gently took the baby out of Sasha and placed him on her breast. I saw Sasha glow with happiness and tenderness as she took our baby in her arms. The moment was simply magical. We witnessed the birth of our long-awaited daughter. I helped Sasha through the emotional turmoil that came over her after the birth. I felt deep gratitude and respect for Sasha for choosing to trust me with our baby. When Nathan returned from his long business trip, I felt mixed emotions. On the one hand, I was glad he was back because I had missed him so much and had been looking forward to this moment. On the other hand, I was anxious and worried that I was hiding the truth about our daughter. When Nathan walked into the room and saw me holding our little girl in my arms, I saw mixed emotions on his face. He walked over to me and our daughter, and I felt him give us both a gentle hug. I saw his eyes fill with tears of happiness and love. In that moment, I experienced mixed feelings of joy, relief, and some fear. I was glad that our family was together again, that Nathan had seen our daughter and felt the joy of her presence. At the same time, I had a fear of possible disappointment if he found out that I had pretended to be pregnant in order to keep our marriage alive. But in that moment, I decided to enjoy the happiness we were all experiencing. I realized that I had done it out of love and a desire to have a family. And now we have a beautiful daughter that we both love infinitely. Sasha tried several times to see our daughter, but all the paperwork was in my name. So I threatened her that she might get in trouble for it. So I decided to just show her pictures of our little girl and tell her about her development and growing up. In fact, there is always a fear in me that Nathan will find out the truth someday, or that Sasha will decide to take our daughter away. And I have to live with that all my life. I spend my whole life falling asleep to the thought that this day went well, but I don't know what will happen tomorrow. That's the price of my lies. I don't advise anyone to do that again. It's really not easy.